Dave here, how are you? And today what we're going to do is make a simple little smartphone or tablet holder. Now the reason I made this for myself is because these rotten phones, we complain, don't we? But where would we be without them? These things are kind to your hand, but when you try and stand them up or lean them against something, they always slip over and fall over because they're all rounded to be nice in your hand. The other thing is I often put this on vibrate, so if I'm doing something I don't want to disturb the conversation I'm having with someone while I'm chatting with them, this thing just vibrates in my pocket and I know I've got a call coming in. Bad part of that is when it's vibrating and sitting on a kitchen window or a windowsill somewhere, down she goes on the floor, much like a camera that I can speak of. But anyway, enough of that. So here we go. Now I'm going to do this one totally using hand tools. The hand tools here are everything that we're going to use, and we will get a very good result. Now I've taken a photo of the hand tools. We've got some clamps, a square, saw, marking gauge, a chisel, mallet and a hand plane, pencil and some sandpaper. That's it. Now I've got a piece of dimension timber. Now this is easy to get this. Just go to the local hardware and buy some DAR pine or DAR maple, whatever you need. This one is inch and a quarter, so that's 32 mil by 86 millimeters, which is close enough to 3 3/8 wide. The block is going to end up, let me have a look here, this one is about 5.5 inches. There we go. Right, first thing we need to do is to get a square end. Now I've got a square end on this, but there's also a cut from doing another project, so we shall square it up using a hand square, just a little square like this. I'll come back so I'm past that cut. We'll do a mark there, we'll turn him over on its edge, and a square line there. So you see I have the line travels around. If you want to, you can put another line down the back. Now what I also do is I put a face mark and an edge mark. So there's the face mark, and the edge is just 2 lines like that. Face, edge. And I've just had Barry come into the workshop as well. You can hear his toenails clicking around on the timber floor. Now we want it about 5.5 inches long. You'll notice on this one I've done a bit of an angle on the edges. It doesn't really matter, you can put an angle on or keep it straight. This one I'm just going to make straight. Keep it simple. Hey Baz, how are you? 5.5 inches is there. So we're going to do another square line and another one over the edge here. Always important to have a sharp pencil. My carpenter's pencils, I keep a sharp edge on, I just put them on my bench grinder. You can do it with a piece of sandpaper. So I could pull some sandpaper out and just sharp edge straight away. Okay, try not to do it on the job, you get graphite all over it and it'll be a pain in the neck. The bench hook that we made in an earlier episode, get it out, we're going to start using it. Now as I said, thumbnail like so. Don't try and do it any other way. I'm using the heel of my hand to push down on the edge of the timber. The thumbnail itself is going to be my guide, and we just watch what's happening. I'm using the Western saw this time. If it starts to move around, just push harder with your left hand. Or if you're right-handed, if you're left-handed, you'll be holding this with your right hand. Done. Okay, so that's my square cut. You can see if I'm any good, both directions. Now I'm going to turn the timber around so I'm holding onto the job because I want to cut to the outside of the line always. If I was to go like that and cut to the outside of the line, I'd be cutting into the job. Now it's not crucial on this job, but if I was doing something to a dimension rather than a rough dimension, I'd be in trouble. So I'm going to keep the job on the left hand side of my block, of the bench hook I should say, line that line up with the edge, that's going to be a guide as well, combined with my thumb to get it started. Done. Okay, that's step one. I've got my blank. We want to go, we're going to put a channel down here, so we need to come down. The width on mine will be 10 millimeters. Now I measured that by using a marking gauge. I slipped it over the edge, had a look how wide it was, and it was 9.5. So I thought I'll make a little bit of slop so it can lean back at a bit of an angle. We're going to do a couple of cuts and take it out with a chisel. So I have a 3/8 10 millimeter chisel. So I'm going to make my gap 10 mil. That's my slot. Now the depth, let's have a look at this one. We can probably go down about the same depth, about 10 mil by 10 mil. So we need to come in from the front. Now there's our edge, that's our front edge. This is our face. So we're going to come in, let's come in around 15 millimeters. And I'll set my marking gauge up to that. I could do it either way. I could set the marking gauge up to 15 off a ruler, or I can do it this way. Now you get it close and then a couple little taps, whoop, too many. Spot on. And then you nip it. Done. That's too easy. Going to put a line there. Now we're going to come in another 10. So we want to go to 25. I've come in 15 mil. I'm going to go 20. That's looking good. I'm going to put a little mark there, and now I'm going to put the chisel on it to see if I've got the right width. I'm ever so close, but a little too tight. So I'm just going to open up the marking gauge a touch, and a little mark. That's lovely. That's exactly where I want it to be. So now, give it a bit more of a nip. Now one of the things you'll notice is I'm not holding the marking gauge upright like that. I'm not holding it upright. I'm leaning it over so that I can back the pin back down into where I'm cutting. Beautiful. That's given me where that slot's going to be. Now you can see on the one I've already made, that's that slot there. So we've got the blank cut out. We're flying along. And now we're going to go down the depth. Now let's go down maybe 10 mil. Just roughly get that in position. Do a quick measure there. Geez, I'm good, I'll tell you what. It's almost on it. There's 10 mil straight away. We're going to do, on this side, on the face, remember we've got that face mark there, we're going to do a little mark at the bottom. And at that side as well. Only the tiniest mark. Barry's come back in again. And I'm going to get the pencil and darken it up so I can see what's going on. Again, and I'll do that with this. And down here. See the advantage of having a sharp pencil? It's brilliant. Now, I need some lines down there. And I should have really, when I had the marking gauge, just done a couple there, but I can do it with a square. Let's see if we can get that there. And on the other end as well. These are just going to be a guide for us as we're cutting. There we go. We've got to remove that timber. So how are we going to do that? The easiest way that I know of is to move the bench hook. I'm going to clamp it to the edge of my bench. Now, I've got a couple of clamps here. And with the clamps, set them up that way. Don't do it this way. It's going to be a whole lot easier this way. One. I'm putting two on so they don't rock around. There we go. Now, this is a general purpose saw. That's all it is. It's not a specialized saw. It's more of a cross cut than a rip, but we're going to make it rip. So I'm going to hold that there. We've got the line to follow, and we're just going to go slowly. Again, see my thumb there? It's just a little guide. Be careful not to cut yourself. But What I'm doing here is I'm getting the depth first. If you're doing this on a dining room table, good luck to you. Okay, I've got the depth, and I'm going to come from the other end now, down to the depth that I want to go. Leaving the saw in there, I can have a look at both ends. We're nearly there on that one. Try and keep it flat. I'm there on that end and that end. Do the whole thing again on the other side. See, I'm still using my thumbnail as a guide. Anywhere I can. Here we go. Mallet, chisel. I'm going to now do a series of taps. So you might be able to watch from over there. I'm going to put one little mark across the end and the other end. Add our depth. Yep. Well, I'm going to go this way because the grain's going to want to try and lift it. Now I've turned my chisel so that the bevel is facing down. The bevel's down, so I'm going to start cleaning the bottom out like that. Then when I'm all the way down, I'm going to roll it over so the bevel is up. The grain is traveling this direction on this piece of timber. You can see it here. So I have to really come from this side now and go that direction. Now, how do I know what depth I am? Experience. Now this is not a mortise and tenon joint. This is just cleaning out a trench. Now we're getting pretty close. I can turn it around and just go ever so slowly. Now this is with the bevel up. I'm going to turn the chisel sideways, clean up the edge of the trench or rabbet. I have what's called Stanley 98. Which I could use in these, but they're specialised tools. So I'm paring off the edge of the slot. Let's see if the phone will fit in there. You know what? Okay, there it is. That's going to do me. Doesn't look too bad. Plane. We're going to get the plane now, and we're just going to go around the edge. We could use the bench hook for this, because that would make it a whole lot safer. Aim down at a bit of an angle. There we go. Do the same at the other side. Nearly there. Careful you don't rub the plane past that part of your thumb, because that would hurt. Just keep your thumb out of the way. Excellent. Now if you wanted to, You can take the corners off as well, but let's hook in with the sandpaper with a sanding block. Now the offcut that I've used, I'm going to use that as a sanding block. I'm going to go down into the slot a little, so it's a little friendlier. Sanding is going to take a little while. That's all there is to it. That's why you buy machines. Now here I'm just holding the back with my thumb. These things are so handy. We can take a little bit off the back, or we can do that with one pass with a plane. Finished. There you go, all finished. We can spend a whole lot more time sanding, and that's great. That takes a while. End grain particularly takes a long time to sand. I'm not going to be fussed with that right at the moment. I'll carry on, I'll put it over one of the bell sanders. I'm going to cheat the end bit. But there it is, and there's the phone dropped into it. So that's pretty nice. And how long did that take us? 10 minutes or so? Now the reason I put that in that way is because I can put my charger in the end. So when I first made these things, I thought, oh, I'm going to have to put a slot through the bottom and connect chargers and everything. I thought, oh, too much mucking around. These things orientate themselves anyway, so what the hell? Slip her over, keep it that way. I can watch things, I can watch Barry the Pug on there. Okay, thanks for watching. Same as normal. If you like the show, give me a bit of a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. That'd be great. And social media links and all the other stuff down the bottom in the description box. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.